True story, I was only 14 when I borrowed my dad's oversized leather jacket just to sneak into a movie theater and see an R-rated film at a time. That started my whole obsession with historical content and Nordic culture in general, the Vikings. Hey, I'm Robin, I love history, but I'm bad at watching movies, so here we talk about historical film and TV. It is a rare case for a film to not age at all. Think what happened to Gone with the Wind, for example, so I thought it would be a great fun to see how one of my favorite oldies fares in this particular category. This baby was born in the last decade of what we know as a golden age of Hollywood, so it still had to fit into a well-polished formula built on westerns, slapstick comedy, musicals, animated cartoons and biographical drama. And that explains the whole tone of the film, which is kind of bizarre mix of action, drama, lighthearted humor and somewhat upbeat orchestral music, all wrapped into a theme that was still experimental for Hollywood at the time. Since the invention of sound in 1927 until 1958, to my count, there were only 3 Viking movies produced, and one of them cannot even qualify as a decent film. So the Vikings didn't have that much competition to deal with, but it still delivered on much bigger and better scale. Now, is this film something we can still enjoy today in comparison to all the modern takes on the Viking extravaganza? I personally think yes, but on my second watch I noticed some signs of aging creeping in that were really hard for me to ignore and that I would absolutely mention to anyone I would recommend it to. First, this new PG rating I think is well deserved, and the wolf pit scene, for example, where Ragnar is thrown to die instead of snakes, I think would disappoint anybody now who would watch it for the first time. But there is a Morgana's naked back though, while she's rowing, so that's something. Is acting over the top? Of course, it's 1958. I gotta give props to Kirk Douglas though, he is smooth and looks like he's having a lot of fun on set. But his eye prosthetic, on the other hand, he could only handle for a few minutes at a time. It was rough. The main Viking music theme on the second watch felt not so epic as I heard it for the first time, but it still grew on me by the end. But I was still always hungry for this big, proper Viking war horn, if you know what I mean.
I gotta have more cowbell, baby.
Some of the Viking outfits were also very questionable and looks like they were there just to make things a little bit more scandalous. Female characters are very underused, unfortunately, and Odin's test of wife's loyalty that sent shivers down my back when I was a teen now seems kind of unnecessary and a little bit offensive. There are absolutely no existing records of something like that happening in Viking culture.
Who sails with me?
So things pile up not in the favor of the film, but does it stop it from being entertaining? Hell no. Its somewhat stereotyped but classical representation of Viking culture I think still holds up well, and iconic shots of Viking boats emerging from the fog and the landing itself is still mesmerizing to watch. And all the screen time spent on fun and games are totally worth it. Fun fact, the oar jumping competition is something that was actually done in the past. The stuntman team trained for a couple of weeks to do this scene, and Kirk Douglas just popped up on a set and said to the director, yep, I can do it. And he totally did. The movie was primarily filmed in Norway, and no green screen can replicate the natural beauty of the fjords and actors interacting and playing in that environment. Also, an absence of crazy amount of editing cuts and lots of medium and wide shots really seal the deal on that immersion. The story itself is a simple love triangle with some family drama thrown into it, but it does have a great emotional payoff in the end. Truly timeless. And even if the main villain Aiella might not look too menacing by modern standards, the siege of his castle in the end, that's where it all really comes together. The castle used for the siege is the Fort La Latte in France. It didn't need any fancy decorations to feel real. And I swear those Vikings pulling that tree ram are actually sweating and struggling with it. Just look at their faces. Unless, of course, it's some next level acting. Today, the scale of the siege would seem to us as any battle of any mid-budget TV show, and maybe not so much of an epic. But the realism hits home run here yet again. Even with somewhat theatrical combat and maybe several missteps, the concept of the siege itself is just solid. And keeping in mind it is still 50s, some things are just pure fun to spot. Like a peasant who looks like he just stepped off some old painting, bouncing rocks. I'm sure they can still hurt. Or the very on-the-nose fact that Vikings were really good with axes, but apparently not so great with spears, and many more. But I see them as endearing Oopsie daisies that are grounded in the filmmaking of that time rather than immersion-breaking mistakes.
Don't make me come up there.
Fun fact, at the Viking funeral, all the arrows were supposed to be launched on the count of 3, but one archer was so eager and released his on a 2. But the arrow hit the sail so perfectly that director Richard Fleischer loved it and kept it for the story. I wanted this movie to remain perfect for me, but to say that it is not flawed by modern standards would be a lie. Although to compare it to the movies like The Northman, for example, would be like comparing a retired coach with so many great stories to tell to an athlete in his prime. So I'd say The Vikings packs a lot of good things into 116 minutes of its runtime and still remains pretty hot for its respectable age. And if you haven't seen it, watch it for fjords, watch it for fun, watch it for the classic castle siege, watch it for the Vikings.